efforts by some in the business community to combat global warming. We're joined now by one of the leading figures in that fight. He's Sir Richard Branson, the chairman of the Virgin Group. In September, he pledged $3 billion over 10 years to reduce his company's reliance on fossil fuels to support research on biofuels. And just last week, he and former Vice President Al Gore announced a $25 million prize for scientists who can devise a better way to reduce greenhouse gases. Sir Richard Branson joins us now from Capitol Hill, where he's been participating in a forum on climate change today. First of all, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. And it wasn't all that long ago that you were one of the skeptics in the business community when it came to climate change. What's changed you?
Scientists and facts and books and I think now. If you ask 1,000 scientists, 999 out of 1,000 are all on the same page. So it's absolute fact. We have global warming. We're heading towards a sort of 2.5–3% rise in CO2 levels, whether we like it or not. That's going to result in 50% of all species on Earth disappearing. It only takes 2% more for mankind itself to disappear. So if politicians are not going to do enough about it, then the business community needs to rally around and try to do our best to try to persuade politicians to do something about it.
What's your message to CEOs, business leaders here in the United States who worry that if there are curbs on carbon dioxide emissions, for example, utilities, factories, things like that, that there's going to be a direct impact on their bottom line? Isn't that a realistic concern?
Well, there were a lot of businessmen here today. Every one of them spoke with the same voice. All of us have got children and grandchildren, and it would be wrong to, have a great party ourselves and leave them to clear up the mess, and actually, and far worse. So what we basically were asking government to do was to join Kyoto, to introduce carbon trading, to make sure that America joins the world in this battle against global warming. McCain came along, he spoke, and he made it clear that he was 100% committed. Lieberman came along, he spoke, he made it clear he was 100% committed. So, I think that the tide is turning, but it has to turn fast. Otherwise, businesses are not only going to pay a small amount today, but they're going to pay an enormous amount in the future.
You talked about Kyoto. Of course, the Bush administration refused to sign on to the Kyoto Accord, signing the potential harm to the U.S. economy. How do you get the U.S. administration to try and join forces here when they point to China and India, other developing countries that also large emitters of greenhouse gases, also not still stepping forward to sign on as well? If those countries don't move forward, why should the United States?
Well, let's just look at one example of what Chinese people have done. The Chinese government said to its people that we are polluting too much, the population is expanding too much, and they asked every single household in China to only have one child. And almost throughout China, they've gone along with that for a whole generation. That's been an incredible sacrifice. It's not the kind of sacrifice I can see us doing in Britain or Americans doing. And so China are actually doing a lot more than people give them credit for. Obviously, they could do more, and everybody could do more. But the biggest polluter in the world is America, and America, needs to lead the way by example. Because if they don't, the children and grandchildren of American people will suffer horribly, and it's not in their interest, and it's not in the world's interest.
You, of course, in September announced your $3 billion anticipated contribution over 10 years to deal with the issue of global warming. What would your message be to other CEOs, business leaders out there right now who are on the sidelines right now and haven't made that sort of decision to join forces here?
Well, first of all, I believe that every single industry can cut its CO2 emissions by up to 25% without a lot of pain, and actually generally with a lot of gain. Fuel costs a lot of money, so if you can actually think of imaginative ways of reorganizing your industry, you can save money. And for instance, in the airline industry, we are advocating towing planes to the end of the runway and towing planes from the end of the runway to the stand rather than starting up engines. That saves the airline industry a lot of money, but it also means that hundreds of thousands of tons of CO2 emissions are cut out.